Well, I'm astonishingly old. What made me feel it most particularly recently was that for strange reasons, I was watching a historical program about the Civil War, and I heard Abraham Lincoln's wonderful booming 7 years ago. And I realized that's how old I am. That's amazing. I also realized that there wasn't a whole lot of time between the Revolution and the Civil War. I mean, it's only a lifetime, and I'm not quite finished, I hope. So, these are from my latest book and the book before that, and I have a couple from the book that's after that. As I get older, I get crankier and more self indulgent. I'm more interested in trivial things. But I think trivial is where stuff is. You know, God, it may not be in the details, but He's surely in the trivial. There it was, and I let it go. Robert Frost used to do readings, and he was having this kind of trouble finding a thing, and he says, "You'll have to forgive me. This is a new copy, and it doesn't know me yet." My old copies knew where to open to. So anyway, this is called Spaces. And when you stop believing in words, that's all that's left. In the spaces between the words, we once lived and breathed in safety, for they could not deceive, distort the world, or make us doubt our moods or likes and dislikes that prompt fights and flights. We trusted them and their simplicity. Words with their complications are distracting, making us question what we thought we knew. Grief and love are not so much beyond words as prior to them, with their mute truths. The spaces are precious fragments, shards of what remains of the unblemished whiteness with which we began and begin and begin again. This is nicely quirky. The snake rises up from the charmer's basket, extends its hood, and moves from left to right, graceful in its ancient dance. Spectators admire and are afraid. Without the fear, the performance is trivialized, no longer a matter of life and death, and much less entertaining. The acetylcholine receptors of the mongoose make it almost immune to snake venom. Unfair, but so is the venom. Let the cobras be poets in a trope that makes mongooses professors and critics, very fast and thick-skinned, encountering poems that ought to be dangerous. When young, mongooses may have been in peril, but less and less, and then not anymore. This one is called FOB, and for those of you who have not had a background in commercial transactions, FOB are the initials for free on board, which is a method of shipment. Who is responsible for what when? The initials hang in the mind as the crates and bales they describe dangle in air during the lading. At that precise moment, as Lord Devlin remarked, only lawyers could watch with satisfaction the spectacle of liabilities shifting as the cargo sways on the end of the derrick over a notional perpendicular from the ship's rail. Giddily apt, balancing up there, profit and loss pendulate this way and that, while from the advocate's POV, he stands nearby on the dock, gazing upward. The cosmos displays its sudden quantum leaps, the change from what was one thing to another. This one, giving away a lot by just pronouncing it, is Valet. The title of the poem actually is No Man is a Hero to His Valet. And wouldn't you know, it's right after FOB. Not every hero has a valet, although some valets are heroes. No man is an island on which everyone is either a hero or a valet. Heroes' valets can be a convenience to biographers. No biographers are heroes. Few of them have valets. Some heroes have batmen who are military valets. Batman had a valet, but his tailor was a lunatic. Some lunatics have valets. Loyal one who stayed on after their masters went mad. Those valets are heroes. Lunatics is now politically incorrect, but people with valets still use the word. Most people with valets know how to pronounce the word. Was Rudy Valley's name Rudy Valet? Unless my valet winds my watch and puts it on my wrist, I have no idea what time it is. You could look at your phone, you twit. Many twits have valets who serve mostly to be amused. The twits don't know this, or if they do, don't care, which makes them heroes in a way, but not to their valets. The whole idea of the book was that with pages you could find stuff, and it was better than scrolls. Just barely. Garbo's cat. I awoke this morning to discover that I could understand cat. Not speak it, but I knew what her different mews meant. And she told me how her great-great-aunt Agrippina had as her caretaker Greta Garbo. The star once brought home a new lover, only to find that the woman was allergic to cats. Sneezing, eyes tearing, and a rash on her face and neck, an unfortunate look altogether. The woman apologized, but said that either she or the cat would have to go out of the room, if not the entire apartment. Garbo thought for a moment and announced that the cat would stay. But why? Her maid asked her the following morning. Both of them are beautiful, Garbo answered, but the cat never says anything stupid. Porlock, a silly, trivial name like Peoria or Poughkeepsie, with nothing but the alliteration going for it. It has no features. It's part of the Exmoor National Park, but who cares? Its Colbone Church is the smallest in England, but that is irrelevant too. The whole town is a joke because of its person of business and his intrusion that pissed Coleridge off. Naughty person. Except that he is the world. Porlock is alive and more important by any measure than a dream of Xanadu and its sacred river. The butt of the joke is Sam, who was not engaged by the modest, sturdy truth of facticity. The dialing code is 01643. The first thing I should do with octaves is read one called Octaves, which explains what these are and why they exist and what the fun of them is. Octaves, I'll read it anyway. List is 9. Czerny, his new teacher, has him abandon his whole repertoire and play nothing but exercises and scales, because without technique, you do not exist. You become a tyrant, a slave driver to fingers that learn to perform faster than your brain and take control so that you become their servants in these exercises, running the octaves. Yeah. Anyway, what that poem that I can't find says is that the tradition of the sonnet, anyway, the Petrarchan sonnet, is that you say what you have to say in the first 8 lines, and then you take it back or change it a little in the sestet, so that the reader is deceived into thinking, oh, not this, but that. So that must be true, because we have worked our way to it and have not just been told. Good grief, here is C squared. You never know. I have 130 books, and I have no idea what's in any of them, mostly. It's on page 12, and I can count. C squared. You approach that dizzy speed, which is, of course, 34.57 million miles per second. The physicists say that all time will slow down. When you reach that speed, does it follow that time stops? Or faster than the speed of light? What's that but the speed of darkness, instantly everywhere, in which we might go back and to undo and unsay the grievous errors we made in the light. Here we are. It's easier to find things in this book because the titles are arranged alphabetically, and I can do the alphabet. I was once at the University of Pennsylvania, and there was an undergraduate there at the card catalog. This is so long ago, they had card catalogs. And she was singing the alphabet song to remember the order in which the letters came. And I thought, all right. Bless you. A sudden tickle that starts in the nose, but soon spreads to the chest to engulf the entire body. And then the spasm comes. If we'd never sneezed, this would be terrifying, as it takes us and stops for an instant all the body's business. Then we return to life, having learned that sneezing will not kill you, but something will. And if you are lucky, will feel like this. Mass murder. This happens a lot these days. The lunatic sprays them all with bullets, while we scurry along the floor for the notional cover the planters offer, and in terror pray, don't let it be me. Please, God, not me. As if everyone around us, except the dead, were not imploring exactly the same thing. At last he shoots himself, and we get to our feet, avoiding one another's embarrassed eyes. These are fun. Those are for people who are not patient with long sonnets that go on forever and ever. If you can't say it in the first 8 lines, what makes you think that the other 6 lines will help you? Here's one. Jewish piano. It is meant as a slur, an incongruent name that means cash register, as if Jews cared for money and nothing else. But reverse it, as one can with any equation, and you get a grocer, butcher, or tailor drudging along for dollars, but also for the dream he has for his children of music, art with its refinement and talent, to play one day the lovely, unmodified noun. Judgment. Michelangelo had it wrong. The judgment doesn't take a day, but only an instant. Nobody weighs each of your good deeds and sins on a balance. These are mere details. It happens in a flash, by which you know who you are and what you have done, said, and even thought. It is the first judgment as well as the last, and nothing can be changed. This one is silly, but I like it, or maybe because of that I like it. Gormless twit. They used to soar and wheel over English gardens in impressive profusion, and yet they were very reclusive, shy birds. The male was just as dull in plumage as the female. One seldom found the nests they made in the branches of dead trees. It is said they may be related to the booby, or perhaps the dodo, although these may have sprung up independently in several places at once. I'll do you a couple from the book that isn't out yet. It will be out in, I think, 2023 or 2024. These are sonnets with the octave and the sestet. If all magicians are fakes, the best of them are the truest fakes, or say at least the boldest, daring us to believe in what we know cannot possibly be. He pulls from his hat the rabbit, of course, but then right away the toad, and Mary Ann Moore, and Helen Vendler, who bursts into multicolored flames. Applause from the audience, especially English majors. But let us imagine an actual miracle. Who could tell the difference? Prestidigitation is too easy an answer, but mostly correct. Jesus turns water into wine, produces endless loaves and fishes, and there is applause. Disappointing, insulting, but better than nothing. This is a very intellectual one, although it doesn't sound like it. Graffiti artists, unlikely theoreticians, sign blank walls and highway overpasses, not claiming the structures as their artworks, which are the signatures themselves. Or is this only an intermediate step? Workmen will come with whitewash. Afterwards, the art will survive, morphing into its photographs, and then to the thought to which the picture refers. For maintenance cannot obliterate ideas. They fade, but so do frescoes and pastels. What the mind can retain is all that will last, as art imitates life, or one could say comes to life, and suffers vicissitudes. Close your eyes and see the graffito shimmer. That's nice. And then, because even those seem sometimes too long, I will do you a short poem, a very short poem, page 42. The Gnu. You cannot train the tapir to go upon the paper. Then there should be a long pause here because most of the page is blank until you get to the very bottom where it says, as you can do with the GNU. The thing about the taper is bizarrely enough true. They prefer to defecate in running water. I got a review copy once when I was at Newsweek of the care of zoo mammals, as if we were going to review that. But I brought it home for the kids because it had lots of pictures. And it turns out that there is this curiosity about the bathroom habits of the tapir. So I thought, you cannot train the tapir to go upon the paper. And then I knew there was something else that had to happen, but I couldn't think of it for 35 years. And then one day it occurred to me, as you can do with the GNU. That's deeply satisfying, although stupid. But stupid is in no way a disqualification. Some of our great poets were stupid. Tennyson, for instance, and really, I think, late Wordsworth. But you don't read poetry because it's going to tell you anything. You read poetry just to bathe in it, to get a sense of a personality, of a character. You don't only seek out intelligent people at dinner parties. There are some who have character or are just weird and fun to sit next to for, what does a poem take? 3 minutes? 5 minutes? That's not even to the soup course. So I'm grateful for your patience, and these books are available from LSU, or as those colleagues of mine at the press are called, the Yellow Shoe Press. Or I'm sure Amazon has them. And there are probably independent bookstores eating their shoes like Charlie Chaplin in that movie and selling books, retail to passers-by. What an old, quaint, lovely thing. It's like the second mail delivery that happens occasionally in Trollope. Who knew, because he worked for the post office? Ah, well, I've more than exhausted your patience. Thank you for your attention, and have fun.